beautiful downtown San Diego here on a Monday morning, getting ready to go live for Digital Trends Live. It is wonderful. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Digital Trends Live. I am Greg Nibbler here broadcasting out of Portland, Oregon. Thanks for hopping in. We are live, like I said, live on Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, bringing you the tech headlines you need to start the day off, start the week off. We've got interviews for you. Why don't we go ahead and go down the docket here of what we've got on the show today. We're going to be interviewing, supposedly, Ryan Welsh from Kyndi. I believe is going to be hopping on to talk about explainable AI coming up in a little bit here on the show. We've got Miles Brandman, who is one of our DT Auto editors. And he's going to be talking about the new Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, which I want very badly. He's going to discuss that. We've got a video where he was actually on site going over the car with some of the people from Jeep, so we're going to have that playing in a bit. We've got Dweezil Zappa. Yes, Dweezil Zappa is going to be on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. Our buddy Riley Wynn interviewing Dweezil Zappa, so that'll be happening all here on today's show. And like I said, I'm here, not in San Diego, I'm in Portland, Oregon, with our Portland, Oregon studio. I'm Greg Nibbler, joined here by Adrian Warner. Hello, Adrian.
Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for hopping in here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I do wish we were in San Diego, but you know, it's good to be.
It's a little bit warmer in San Diego.
Portland.
Yeah. Every day.
I did see a mysterious orb in the light in the sky today. I think it's called the sun.
Yeah, that doesn't happen out here. No, that does not exist in Portland. We don't know what you're talking about. That's why we live in perpetual darkness, knowing everything about tech, because this is what we do. So let's go through our lineup here today. Well, actually, we're going to get into that in a minute. We've got some tech headlines we want to cover, and we've got our Read 'em and Weep segment. But I wanted to get to this topic here first, and this is kind of the biggest trending story in tech right now. This is what we do every day. We just take a look at what's happening. I'm not going to go into the political side of things on this because I do see there's a lot of political comments coming through. But what we're going to be talking about is this. So the Senate Intelligence Committee is set today to be releasing 2 reports further detailing what happened during the 2016 election season in regards to Russian influence on social media platforms. And there was a lot. There was a lot more than we thought. And we all know that there was, clearly some Russian influence on social media in the form of fake accounts on Facebook and Twitter. Now, this report, it looks like, is going to detail a way more extensive campaign than we thought, to where it wasn't just those accounts, it wasn't just our platforms, it wasn't just Twitter and Facebook. They were also influencing YouTube, which we kind of expected there, in addition to Google+, Tumblr. That could
That's
be
a
one
crossover of Tumblr and Tinder.
I'm going to reserve that one right now, yes. Google+, Tumblr, Pinterest, also using email accounts from Yahoo, Hotmail, and Gmail.
Wow.
These are all set to probably be revealed in this report.
And it sounds like the social media companies that have been providing information to these firms have like barely scratched the surface in terms of what they've actually handed over. So there's like a whole trove of information that needs to be sifted through in order to get to any sort of conclusion.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I think we were talking about like how many different things there were, how many different accounts and how many different tweets they had to go through, like millions of them.
One of the firms that they hired is called New Knowledge, and it sounds like they analyzed over 10 million tweets. And I was saying to Greg that like how many tweets would you want to go through?
That is a lot of tweets.
That's a lot. That's a dizzying amount.
No, yeah, and so we're talking about, we picture them just like printing them all out in a stack of papers. Like, there you go, intern.
Here's all your tweets.
10 million of them. Go through these. But yeah, I mean, it's an crazy amount of information, and they had the Senate Intelligence Committee hired these different firms to go through this. And so what we're going to find out today is it's expected that there's 2 different reports. And part of it also, from what I've been reading, is they're a little bit upset with the way that some of the big social media platforms handed over their information. Not in the most efficient way, maybe not the most cooperative.
Why am I
not
surprised?
Shocking that Facebook wouldn't be cooperative with some of that.
With the government?
Yeah, what a strange thing to think about. But yeah, so that's where they're at, and of course, covering how the Russia's Internet Research Agency, which has already been in lots of trouble for a number of different things, but just how extensive it was to where they impersonated media personalities apparently, and different media organizations,
and even went out and interviewed people on the street. Yeah.
Just to further make this, it's really I think we're going to learn a lot today, and that's why I think it's important for all of us to just be aware of how extensive that was. And I think a lot of us now, over the last 2 years, have come to realize that for some people, some of the things that are posted online are not real. There are some fake posts out there. And so just to be diligent and understand that that is definitely going on. Yeah, and I am seeing the comments come through. I'll try to read some of those. I'm not going to spot read these ones because I don't want to get halfway through reading it before I realize what it is that I'm going to be saying. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some opinions on both sides of this thing.
Well, it's good to see that our readers are engaged and that they're asking a lot of information.
There is, yeah, and there's definitely a lot of information that I think we're going to find out, and that's the bottom line is they were on everything. What they did on Pinterest is still, I don't know.
Pinterest is a weird world.
I want to know what they did on Pinterest. I don't even use Pinterest, but I'm like.
Russian cookie recipe.
Patriots of America eat Russian cookie. Yeah, I don't know. That was a terrible Russian accent that we just did right here. But nonetheless,
apologies.
That is what we're finding out. So as we know more, if there's information released while we're even doing this show, I'll bring it up to you. But otherwise, follow digitaltrends.com, follow our Twitter account. I'm sure we'll retweet or post something about this as we find out more information. All right, let's get to our Read 'em and Weep segment.
Yes, speaking of tweets.
Yes, this is where we read your comments, which are all real, that come to Digital Trends social media platforms. And so we want to know what you say. And every day, our buddy Jake goes through these and scours them to find the best things. And so we've got Ian Lovelace, who regarding there's a new lab-grown meat startup on the block and it has a secret weapon. Nothing sounds quite so delicious as lab-grown. This is, I've been reading a lot about this actually across different news websites too, just talking about lab-grown food, whether it's lab-grown
meat in general or
lab-grown meat, yeah, I guess in particular. Like what, are you a meat eater, I guess, number one?
I am, but I'm not a super frequent meat eater.
Okay.
I'm more of a once a week.
Once a week?
Once a week. I rarely cook at home. I try to conserve my meat eating to be infrequent as possible.
Okay. Would you eat something lab-grown?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah. That's kind of.
I don't think it doesn't sound delicious. I mean, Ian has a good point. It sounds really weird, but
when you do say lab-grown, yeah, it does kind of put a little. They may have to work on some marketing efforts for it. But there are some great articles, about this. I was reading about, the lab grown, or not lab grown, but then also just like the 3D printed steaks. Like the way that we consume food is going to be changing a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
And seeing where we go. But Ian, I understand. Yeah, they got to come up with some better ways to market that before I think everybody's going to want it.
Freshly lab grown.
Fresh lab grown meat. All right, the cowboy rides away. That's the actual YouTube handle of somebody.
That is
Cowboy.
Fabulous.
Cowboy rides away.
Cowboy rides away.
Regarding the Samsung 146-inch micro LED television, I don't know about these new big screens. My family got a brand new 75-inch Samsung TV and everything looks weird to me. All movies and TV shows look low budget on it, almost like a soap TV show.
Yeah, unless you're streaming high quality content, those big screens are going to show a lot of faults with the stuff that we stream on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I would not want to be filmed in 8K right now. So
oh God, no.
Not on Mondays. No 8K on Mondays. Yeah, it's true. I don't think that really the 146-inch is probably something you're going to be getting at home. I mean, unless you have that kind of home, then please invite us over to it. But I think this is more for stadiums, stadium stuff.
Or somebody really, really rich who has a home theater.
146-inch screen.
I can't even think of those dimensions, honestly.
Yeah, please let us over there to go see this in person. We will film DT Live right there. You can film it in 8K. Take a look at some of the comments here that are coming through right now. Edward just said, I have no problem with the thought of lab-grown meat. Oh. That is true.
See, other people are on board. What about you? Would you eat lab-grown meat?
Yeah, just don't tell me what it is. I mean, that's the bottom line. Yeah.
We already don't really know a lot of our food sources anyways.
I prefer to be in the dark.
Great.
I would rather just not know. Just hand it to me, tell me, this is chicken. All right, cool.
Nibbler's asking for mystery meat.
Yes. Oh, God, I did just ask for that, too. Please don't send in any mystery meat to me. All right. Let's go to our next one. We got Nicholas Smith. Regarding bright, hyperactive comets should be visible in the sky this weekend. I saw clouds, rain, and cold all weekend. You must be in Portland. Thanks, Chem Clouds. We got a Chem Cloud. Yes. It's Monday now, and guess what? Sunny and 70 degrees. I guess the government didn't want me to see yet another astrological event. Excellent observation, Nicholas.
Thank you, Nicholas, for your...
Sifting through the propaganda and getting to the truth. That is what we're here for.
Well, if you stand on the underside of the flat Earth, you might be able to see the comment.
Well, they don't want you to know how to... Wow, that is a really good point, Adrian. Actually, there's just so much to think about with that. So with the chem clouds blocking out the comets, you know, it is a big concern, I think, for a lot of us.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. Nicholas, thank you. Yes, please, tomorrow leave us your thoughts on the flat Earth, because we really do. I think Nicholas may need to be a guest on this show at this point. All right, going on from Nicholas. Let's see, we've got Zane. Zane, Qualcomm shows first 5G network. Forget 5G, it causes cancer.
Well, you know, Zane, you and Nicholas.
That is a team that needs to have a show right after DT Live. So I love how, though, he knows that it causes cancer, even though there really are no 5G networks that are out there right now.
Right.
Yeah, so yet to be even proven that it, well, I mean,
what doesn't cause cancer these days?
I don't know. Yeah, but Zane, thank you, Zane, for your insightful commentary on this situation. Let's see, do we have any more read 'em and weeps just to make sure as we go through here? We do. All right, let's continue on.
Jacob, know someone that travels a lot. Get them the, I can't say this, the turtle pillow?
The turtle pillow. Is it bad? You know what, I don't know what the turtle pillow is either.
I think it's just a travel pillow. I think it's one of those things that you like strap around your neck and then you can just kind of...
Okay. One of those things.
Anywhere. Yeah.
So is it? Oh, there it is. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody behind the scenes here.
Oh, and it looks like a little turtleneck. I get
it. On top
now.
of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I would feel a little bit weird wearing that. Although
I feel weird sleeping in public, no matter what.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you sleep on airplanes?
No, I can't. I've tried.
I fall asleep instantly on airplanes, but the more I think about it, yeah, I know. Everybody hates. Yeah, it's just like. I'm like, nope, I'm out. Well, because I think I just look at it like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do here, so whatever happens is going to happen.
Shut my brain down.
Shut it off, yeah. But then I do have the problem of, like, spazzing out in the plane, so, like...
Oh, when you, like, twitch?
Yeah, I'll be that guy. So, Jacob says, is it bad that I just need this for falling asleep at my computer chair? Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay, though.
I can understand. But, yeah, no, I am the spaz guy on the airplane, so maybe I do need the turtle pillow. So that's entirely possible.
Maybe you just need to be swathed, or is that what it's called? Swaddled?
Swaddled, yes. Like a baby? Yes. You want to be swaddled?
So you don't spaz when you're
like
sleeping.
Me? Yeah. I don't think there's anything that'll control it. It sucks. That's been me on the airplane. All right. We'll go into that story for another time.
Ooh,
Spanish Samurai. Sweet. Regarding Sony WF-SP700 and wireless headphones review. Next time, hire a professional hand model. Wow. So I'm going to guess this was either Parker or Ryan.
Yeah, maybe we need some, manicures for the DT staff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sorry, Spanish Samurai. If that was the main thing you took away from the review, it was the hands. Yeah, that's probably an issue. Maybe we need to get Parker and Ryan in here, like, right now. Like, show us your hands immediately.
We'll put them in glass.
Yeah,
like
we need Caleb running around like, these hands are unacceptable. So, yeah, sorry. The hand part, we'll work on that.
Yeah, we need to do some maintenance.
We'll be right on. Ryan and Parker will be reprimanded severely over that. So, all right, there we go. Let's go ahead and go on to some other news. Right now for your tech headlines for the day. And again, keep dropping your comments and questions in there. I do see a lot of people hopping in, and we appreciate that. So, MicroLED, never heard of. Okay, Michael says, MicroLED, never heard of. MicroLED, any difference we should know. Actually, we've got some really good explanations at Digital Trends, kind of going through QLED, OLED, MicroLED, and what the differences are. And, essentially it's all just a means to the same thing of getting a really sharp picture in dark blacks. That's kind of the important part of it. But yeah, we've have some descriptions on there. So Michael, you can definitely go check those out. That was Michael on YouTube. And we are on Periscope, Twitch, and Facebook as well. So feel free to let us know your comments. Here is the other thing. You know what? Actually, before we get to this topic, I did want to just acknowledge one thing, and I feel like we do kind of have to do it. We're a tech headline show, and there was a big headline over the weekend. And just to acknowledge that the Vine and HQ Trivia co-founder, Colin Kroll, who's the CEO right now, was the CEO of HQ Trivia, passed away over the weekend.
Oh no.
Yeah, there was there's some details on it. I don't think this was an unfortunate passing. He was 35 years old or 34, depending on some of the reports. We're trying to narrow that down. But yeah, just wanted to acknowledge that. You know, sad news in the world of tech, and you can read more about that at Digital Trends or other news sources. Felt like we needed to acknowledge it, though. Going on to something a little different. Let's talk about an autonomous robot catching fire. So this happened in Berkeley, where they are actually using autonomous drone delivery robots, which seems to be the theme for 2019, to deliver food, actually. So at the University of California, you can order food from, I think it was like up to 100 different restaurants and... Or no, excuse me. So, well, anyway, a bunch of different restaurants, and they have 100 machines that are going there, and these are called Kiwi bots. And the Kiwi bots, there's a picture of them, will deliver food to you on campus.
It sounds like they've already made over 20,000 deliveries in the University campus area. It sounds like they've been on the streets for about a year so far.
Yeah. So they've been out there making these deliveries, but on Friday, December 14th, there was an issue in that one of them caught fire. The food.
The image in my head is fabulous.
Yes, especially with a little smile on it, as it's just like a burning
robot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Flames shooting out of it. It sounds like they were able to contain the fire pretty quickly. It didn't cause any sort of harm to anybody around it.
This time. Yeah.
But it sounds like it was due to a faulty battery, basically. When is it not?
Right.
Like electronics bursting into flames.
The thing is, though, it's a faulty battery, and luckily, like you said, there was a passerby who could put it out with a fire extinguisher. Which, where did they get the fire extinguisher? That's kind of weird too. But anyway, they were able to put it out. However, just the idea of this autonomous robot, it doesn't know it's on fire. Just continuing on, coming up to your house, just lighting everything on fire as it goes through, delivering somebody's sandwich. This is. There's some kind of recipe for disaster here.
Or a recipe for success. I see this being very successful with the pizza industry.
Their fire pizza?
Fresh baked pizza to your door.
Yeah. So they did say, like you said, it was a faulty battery, so they don't expect this to happen again. Nonetheless, a little bit concerning.
Yeah, we will see.
That is the Kiwi bot. For that, and coming up this year, Postmates is going to be doing deliveries as well. They announced they're going to have a fleet of autonomous little robots, also with smiling faces, hopefully not full of fire, that will be delivering things. All right, let's go to a couple more stories here. This I wanted to bring up just because I found it pretty interesting. If you don't know the name Charles Martinet, you probably know his voice from things, because he is the voice of Mario. The voice of Mario. Since 1996. And with the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Martinet now holds the record for the most recorded video games voiceovers for a single character.
100 times.
100 times.
That's so cool.
He has done the voice of Mario. It's a me. So he got the world record for it, and which I'm not quite sure who had the world record before that.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I feel like
there must have just not been one.
I don't think there was.
Yeah.
I think you got 100, so it's like, oh, well, let's give you a record.
I
Still,
guess the question is, who will be catching up?
I don't know.
Will anybody? Mario is so popular.
Who could be on that many video games? I can't even think of a character that would come anywhere near that.
Yeah, maybe Pikachu after.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah. So, Pikachu, I guess. Yeah, maybe. But is there the same person doing that?
No.
Regardless, 100 times. And so he's also voiced Wario, Luigi, Waluigi, and the baby incarnation of the Mario Brothers. So congratulations, Charles Martinet. You can watch some videos of him, and it is weird. It's like, oh yeah, I can hear Mario's voice every time he talks.
I know, yeah. He kind of starts out really high-pitched a lot of the times when he talks, and you're like, oh, that's Mario.
Yeah, it's me, Mario. So anyway, there it is. We'll go there. Last thing, let's see. I think we're going to be going to a break here in just a minute. But the last thing that we wanted to bring up was this one. And it has to do with those of you who use a Fire TV or use a Fire TV stick. There's now a pretty sweet thing you could do at home when we talk about video games. Classic video game, like retro games, are really popular with Nintendo Classic.
There's the Nintendo Classic and the SNES Classic, and then this comes on the heels of the PlayStation Classic.
Yes. And now you can play Sega Genesis Classic games, and this is on the Fire TV. So they're not releasing an actual console you can buy.
Which is cool, yeah. And you can either use a Bluetooth controller, or you can just use the Fire Stick.
Yeah, and which is really, really a cool way to do it. So it's an app. It's $15. You can play, Sonic, golden axe, like all kinds of things. And yeah, they just decided to go with the app version. So $15 instead of however much the Nintendo Classic was. Pretty sweet.
Pretty great, yeah. Good deal.
And the neat thing is with your Fire remote, you just turn it sideways and you can utilize those buttons as your controller.
It's like a Wii.
Yeah, so you don't need to buy anything else. You just $15, you get 25 classic games from the Sega Genesis, Sonic the Hedgehog, Golden Axe, Street of Rage, like all kinds of different ones. And we've got a whole write-up at Digital Trends that you can take a look at that. But I thought that would be pretty cool, especially since there's probably a lot of people that picked up Fire TVs over Cyber Monday.
Right, exactly.
And now
setting them up now, and now they have a whole bunch of stuff to do.
Now there's something else that you can use them for.
Do you have a Fire TV?
I do.
You do?
And I did get one over Cyber Monday. So I will be picking up this app for $15, because why not?
Because that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think I only played Sonic. I only knew one guy who had a Sega Genesis. But nonetheless, I did play it. So that is what we have for your tech headlines right now. We're going to take a break, and we're going to be joined by Miles Bramman here in just a minute to talk about the new Jeep, take a look at his video, and coming up later on in the show, Dweezil Zappa. Dweezil Zappa going to be here on DT Live. Before we go to break, Adrian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Happy Monday.
Thank you. Adrian Warner here with us for Digital Trends Live, broadcasting out of Portland, Oregon. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be coming right back to talk to Miles and the Jeep right here on Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Everyone tuning in, I'm seeing the comments come through, referencing some of the news stories that we had earlier. I always love seeing those, so drop those there on Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube. No matter when you watch, we will read the comments. And now we are joined by Miles Bramman, one of our DT Auto editors here to talk about the Jeep Rubicon. This new Jeep, I really want it, and I'm excited to take a look at Miles' video, but let's bring him on right now. Hello, Miles.
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much for hopping on here today. Now, I got to ask, like, since you are, work in the auto industry, like you go around and you check out all of these different cars, where are you at right now?
Oh, right now I'm in Southern California. It's kind of the home for automotive at this point. I've got great access to vehicles out here, and year-round we can get all things from your average sedan to supercars. So it's a great place to be.
And there are so many great videos that you've posted, on Digital Trends and your articles covering all of these. But let's get in and talk about this one right now. So this new Jeep Wrangler. I have personally, honestly, I've always wanted a Jeep, and so seeing some of your coverage of this and reading your review, I'm like, I already want it. But from your perspective, why don't we walk through what this one is, maybe what's different than previous, and how you want to talk about it?
For sure, yeah. I actually owned a Jeep Wrangler. I owned the last generation JK Wrangler, so getting into this new one was really special for me because I was able to see the huge differences they've made over one generation, and it's pretty dramatic. Even before the Jeep guys brought over this last version that I was able to try last week, I got to see really just how the Rubicon version of the truck had elevated itself in terms of off-road capability. But really the news with the new Wrangler is its livability, how easy it is to use it as a daily driver, so comfortable, so much new technology that's been baked into this truck. And they've done it all very thoughtfully. They thought about the user of the car and how they might want to interact with the vehicle every day. They know that the user wants that off-road capability, but every day they're sitting in traffic, they're using their smartphone with the Apple CarPlay and things like that. So they baked all that stuff in to make it so much better of a daily driver vehicle. So, fuel economy is up 30% compared to the last generation Wrangler. So much more technology, a nice big infotainment screen in the truck. It's got a mild hybrid system that helps with off-the-line acceleration and stop-start capability. So many advanced safety features in this vehicle now. So, I mean, it's really cool what they've done over just one generation of the truck.
I really like that idea, of maintaining what we all love about Jeeps, but adding in that element into it and not feeling like you're sacrificing anything for that. Well, we have the video, so you went out on site. Let's kind of give just a little bit of an intro to where it was that you went for this.
Yeah, sure. Honestly, nothing really special about where I was. Kind of close to me in Southern California. I've already taken the new Wrangler Rubicon to some trails out here off-road and shown that it is very much the Wrangler we all know and love. You can still take off the doors. It's still body on frame. It's still solid axles, 2-speed transfer case. It can do all the things that we want out of a Wrangler. But this opportunity was one to really see the technologies, the safety features, and the powertrain developments for the new Wrangler. So we had right here a 2-liter turbo version of the Wrangler that has a mild hybrid system for assistance with the stop-start technology and off-the-line acceleration. It gives a benefit of up to 70 pound-feet of torque right when you're just coming off the line. So while you're waiting for that turbocharger to spool up, this is giving you that extra bit of torque right off the line. So it's a really cool system, and it aids fuel economy in the end. So that's the vehicle that we have in this clip.
Well, let's go ahead and roll it. We'll take a look at this, and then Miles is going to stick right here with us while we watch this video, and we'll come back and we can take your comments and questions if you have some that you want to ask about this. We've got Miles right here, but why don't we go ahead and roll the video right now.
Hey, Digital Trends Live fans, I'm Miles Brandman, and I'm here with Brandon and Brian. Brian is the Chief Vehicle Engineer for the new Wrangler, and Brandon is the Brand Manager for the Jeep Gladiator. We're not going to talk too much about the Gladiator today, but I'm going to use both of their knowledge to discuss this new Jeep Wrangler and all the technologies that are debuting in this vehicle. Some really cool stuff that you may not expect from the Wrangler, but that is definitely interesting, especially for us. So let's get into it. Brian, you want to kick us off with talking about the Wrangler?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to start with the powertrain that's in this vehicle. So we initially launched with the 3.6 liter, but a few months ago we launched the 2-liter e-torque, which is a mild hybrid system. So we'll open up the hood and talk a little bit about it. So this engine, it's what we call the Genie T4, so it's our next generation of 4-cylinder engines. It's a direct inject turbocharged engine. We've been saying this is kind of a neat engine to put in this vehicle. It kind of harkens back to the heritage of the original MBs and Willys, which were all 4-cylinder engines. But we bring that back with some 21st century technology and what we need to do to have the capability necessary. So when we wanted to put this engine in the vehicle, I know there was some concern putting a turbocharged engine in a Wrangler when its main goal and what it has to do is off-road, and you could have turbo lag, and we have to get beyond that. So the main things you want this to do, certainly in an off-road environment, you need it to be linear, you need it to be controllable. So up front, when we were talking about the mission of this engine, it was performance, have it be on road. It has a nice drive to it. It certainly needs the capability off-road, and we need something that is environmentally conscious. It's environmentally friendly. It helps our customers with fuel economy. So that was the task we set out. So this is a dual overhead cam engine. It's a dual scroll low emission turbo, so going after that linear aspect that we were talking about. That's what gets beyond the turbo lag. So if you're doing rock crawling, for instance, and you're going up an event, the last thing you want is all of a sudden the turbo starts to spool as you step in, and you kind of launch off the rock. It's an unexpected action of the vehicle. We did a lot of work with our powertrain calibration friends, our controls friends, the development team on the engine to make sure that's nice and linear. This engine, it's mated up to our 8-speed transmission, which is consistent with what's in the 3.6 liter as well as in our Ram and Grand Cherokee vehicles. So if you have this engine mated to that transmission, and then if you look at our final drive and transfer case, we have a great crawl ratio. So when we're going down the trail with this engine, the crawl ratio allows us to just kind of creep down. This makes great low-end torque, even naturally aspirated. You don't have to be into boost, so you can walk over the events. But in the small instances when you might need boost, it's very, very linear, and you can walk over the event. Nothing unexpected for you. Now, the other big part of this particular powertrain, we have a mild hybrid. So mated to the 2-liter is a 48-volt system that goes in. In our 48-volt system, it's a belt start generator, meaning you have a unit that via belt is connected to the crankshaft. So your 12-volt alternator goes away, so the traditional 12-volt no longer exists here, and we have what we call an MGU, which is a motor generator unit. That motor generator unit, it's kind of like an alternator on steroids. So it can actually supply torque into the crankshaft. We can do up to 70 foot-pounds of torque that goes directly into the crank. So we have a handful of things that this system will do and improve upon. So the big thing is start-stop and the relative smoothness of start-stop. A lot of people hear like a starter engage on the 12-volt system. This does not have that anymore. The engine just starts, so there's no noise from a starter going up. It just restarts the engine. It has torque filling capability. So when we say that it has up to 71 or 70 foot-pounds of input into the crank, that's not additive beyond the engine. So this engine makes 295 foot-pounds by itself. It's not like now we make over 350 foot-pounds. It's for the instances when the engine is just starting up before it can make torque. We can supply torque into the crankshaft to supplement what's going on. The same thing is true when you're driving down the road and we want to schedule a shift event. If you shift from 3rd gear to 4th gear, what we typically do is drop the torque of the engine so the clutches can do their thing, the transmission can work, and you have a smooth, there's not the clunking that goes on. This can actually supply torque in during those transition states that helps smooth out everything going on. Another big aspect is regenerative braking. So when you are slowing down, we have the ability with the MGU to kind of clamp down on the crankshaft, and it will supply energy into the 48-volt system. You can recover some of that energy, and then you can use it for powertrain braking. So in instances such on the trail, you come up and over an event, and now you're going down the backside. A lot of people want powertrain braking. And when you have powertrain braking, you don't need the brakes. The powertrain's slowing you down, and with the regenerative braking, we can actually clamp down on the crankshaft a little bit more to slow us down even that much more. And then the last thing this system does is actually runs the rest of the electrical components via 12 volt. So the only thing that's 48 volt in this whole setup is the MGU leading back to our power pack unit. Everything else is 12 volt. It's just the traditional system. We have a 12 volt battery. We run the radio. We run all the electronics in the vehicle off the 12 volt. So that is up front with the MGU. If we go around to the back of the vehicle, the other part, one part of the system is the MGU up front. Then we have what's called the PPU, or the power pack unit. Inside the PPU is a lithium-ion battery. And we also have a DC to DC converter, which is what takes that 48 volts and makes it to 12 volts. The packaging for this, it's actually under the vehicle. So down low, we have the power pack unit is packaged here. You can see underneath, we've got a skid plate on there. Obviously, when we go to put electronics like that in an environment like a Wrangler, we have to make sure it's protected. So it's in a casing that it can basically withstand getting high centered on rocks. It can take a beating, We also know that this vehicle has to go through water, so it's 30 inches of water fording. It has to be watertight, so all the seals, everything going in is sealed up completely. We do testing where we do mud packing, so we'll put 2,500 pounds of mud that get accumulated on this vehicle. Then we have to pressure wash the whole vehicle, so it has to withstand all of that, all of those extreme environments of starting at minus 30 degree ambient temperature. It has to run when it's 130 degree ambient temperature outside. It goes through water, it goes through mud, it can climb over rocks. So we had to ensure that this vehicle, even though it has the advanced technologies that our customers expect and will benefit them from a fuel economy and performance standpoint, it still has to remain true to the core of what a Wrangler is. And that's namely the capability aspects.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, and one interesting sum up of what, as I was hearing you talk about your testing and you're kind of making sure that the electrical components are ready for what a Wrangler owner wants out of their truck, the capabilities they want, is that you're basically doing what some of these, maybe Tesla when they come out with an all-electric pickup truck, or Rivian with their new one, they're having to do all this testing, but you've already done that effectively with the Wrangler to make sure that you have this mild hybrid system that's going to work in all these conditions. So I think that's one of the really cool components about what you were talking about here. And I'm going to switch over to Brandon for a second, maybe talk about the safety features that are on the 2018 and maybe some of the ones that are coming for 2019.
Yeah, and I mean, it used to be in the past that when you owned a Wrangler, you had to make compromises, and that's no longer the case, right? So with the new Wrangler JL, you still get the off-road capability, you still get the open air freedom, everything you expect in a Wrangler, but we've added new 21st technology to it. And part of that is safety. So we have optional blind spot monitoring, rear cross path detection, and rear park assist. And new for 2019 model year, we have adaptive cruise control and forward collision warning.
That's awesome. Is the adaptive cruise control for just the 8-speed automatic or for the manual as well?
You can get it on both the 8-speed automatic and the 6-speed manual.
That's really cool.
And so that is actually going to be housed right behind the windshield, right in front of the rear view mirror. And typically most manufacturers, they put that equipment right in front of the grill, the front bumper, and we know Wrangler owners, they love to modify, they love to customize their vehicles. And they love to put on different grills, different bumpers, winches, all that. And so we couldn't put those sensors and those cameras in the front of the vehicle, we had to put them behind the windshield. And you can still fold down the windshield with that safety equipment. And the adaptive cruise control with the automatic, it's going to go down to a full stop, and with the manual transmission, it'll go down to 15 miles per hour. So pretty advanced technology for a Wrangler.
That's awesome. And the only other thing I really wanted to spend a couple seconds on is the Uconnect system, because I know I'm a previous Wrangler owner. I had a JK, and one of the things was it felt like such an old vehicle when I was inside the car. But with the Uconnect system now, it's a much more technologically advanced vehicle. Feels like a modern car in all senses of the word. So maybe you can just talk me through what we have with the Uconnect system, what capabilities, and I know it has micro USB-C ports as well as USB-C. That's really good stuff.
Correct, yeah, so we have 3 Uconnect systems on the Wrangler. We have our 5-inch, our 7-inch, and our 8.4-inch. This Wrangler Sahara is equipped with our 8.4-inch, and that offers off-road pages, navigation, and the 7-inch and 8.4-inch are enabled for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And we have up to 7 USB ports in the Wrangler as well. So it used to be people asked how many cup holders were in their vehicle, and now they ask how many USB ports do you have? And Wrangler has 7. So we have USB ports for the driver as well as for all the passengers. So whenever you need to charge a device, you can find a USB port to do that.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brandon. So yeah, that is the 2018 Jeep Wranglers. All the cool technology, especially on this 2-liter mild hybrid system. This is the Sahara version. There's so many different variants. All of them have great stuff on it. Thank you for watching, guys, and thank you, Brian and Brandon, for sharing your knowledge on the vehicle. Yeah, definitely, if you haven't checked out our review of the Wrangler Rubicon, be sure to see that on digitaltrends.com/cars. All right, guys, I'm Miles Brandon. Thanks for watching, DT Live fans.
All right, Miles, that was a great video. I want to say it's being acknowledged that Waste Management could have picked a better time. Just try to do that right in the back.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
You know, I mean, that's the thing when you're out there shooting something live, you can't control any of that. Well, let's talk about the car. So I saw a couple of questions that came through from some people, and I believe it was George wanted to clarify what the miles per gallon were on this. or is?
So for the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a mild hybrid system, it's 22 mpg combined. Compare that to the regular 3.6-liter Pentastar V6, which makes 20 mpg. It's a nice little bump there. And again, that 22 mpg is 30% better than the last generation JK. So it's a big jump there.
Yeah, that's a huge improvement over the last one. And again, since we are live, if you have other questions too, please drop those in there and I'll make sure that we get to those. Justin's asking, what's a guy got to do to get a Jeep Gladiator sweatshirt? I don't know if we can help you on that one, but I bet Jeep could.
Yeah, they probably could.
Well, any other comments that you wanted to make just about this, just being out there with it, now that we've seen the video?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it in the live video, but I kind of want to just reiterate that as these electric vehicle manufacturers are exploring pickup trucks and off-road vehicles, I mean, we saw Rivion's concept at the LA Auto Show, which is hugely impressive, a massive battery, big ranges, and a lot of crazy acceleration times. You got to think about how these vehicles are going to be used. So what Jeep has done by making sure that all the electrical components are able to withstand the mud packing and the low temperatures and all the crazy conditions that a Jeep Wrangler owner might put their vehicle through, they're kind of already testing those components. So it's cool when you hear about Rivian and Tesla testing their stuff and you're imagining that they're going through these same sort of tests, and Jeep's already kind of doing that, even though it's only a mild hybrid system. So it's cool to see if these tests are already in place. And I'm really excited to see what the pure EV pickup trucks and SUVs are going to look like.
Yeah, I was reading some of the reviews just about the Rivian. You're right. That is a really exciting area of where everything's going. I mean, this Jeep, just to acknowledge that too, like you said, they tested it in such extreme conditions, and having that shield underneath, at the base, just to make sure that it's protected throughout that, and a USB port for everybody is. I know seems like a small thing, but I love that idea.
Oh yeah.
We all want more USB ports. I think that's the number one thing. Well, Miles, thank you, for going out there and doing that. And again, you can check out this full review at digitaltrends.com. And Miles, how can people follow you? What's the best way, other than reading your articles on the site, but to follow your adventures? Because you're always off somewhere, reviewing these amazing cars, and it's really fun to follow along. What's the best way for people to do that?
Yeah, I mean, they threw it up there in the live video. My Twitter handle @milesper. Instagram is probably my best way of kind of keeping in touch with what I'm doing. Again, just @milesper. I do live video, Insta stories like every day, a bunch of them every day, and so that's kind of the day-to-day stuff that I'm doing. And I also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/milesper. So any of those means, but yeah, thanks for having me, Greg. This was really fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Miles. All right, so there you go. Follow along with Miles' adventures. And again, digitaltrends.com, we've got the reviews and everything that he's doing are all up there right now. You can read the extensive Jeep Rubicon review. I really, really want one. All right, before we go to our next guest, I have to do just a couple of acknowledgments. So at the beginning of the show, I was talking about how Ryan Welsh from Kyndi was going to be on to talk about explainable AI. We had to make a change on that. He had to reschedule. Something came up. So just wanted to say it's not like we just forgot about him. It's just to acknowledge that rescheduling, it happens when you're doing a live show every day. And so sometimes these things come up. But we'll get Ryan back on in a future episode for sure. So that'll happen. Also, we do talk about giveaways here on the show, and I want to say that you still have a couple of days to enter to win the stand-up paddleboard that we talked about last week. So we have that stand-up paddleboard. It's from Body Glove and the Dynamo stand-up paddleboard. A really cool setup. It's the portable one that you can essentially take in a backpack and inflate. I think it's like $1,000 setup or something like that, and we're giving it away. It's being given away. And you still have a chance to enter for that. So it's digitaltrends.com/giveaway. And that way you can go there and make sure that you get signed up for it and that you get entered in to win that. Actually, I think it's giveaways, excuse me. Giveaways. And you can go there and make sure that you sign up for it. Enter for that Dynamo stand-up paddleboard. And then, if you want to give it to me, you can do that afterward. That's up to you. All right. Let's get to our next guest. This is a legendary musician, and out there with her own Riley Wynn. We're gonna have this playing for you right now. It is joining us, Dweezil Zappa with Riley Wynn. Let's see if we can get out there.
Thanks, Greg. Riley Wynn here live with Dweezil Zappa in the Roseland Theater. We're here to ask him some questions. He's in town for tour and a master class. And so we have some questions for you, Dweezil, but first we want to thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
So the first one, 2018 is coming to a wrap. What have you been up to this last year? Can you kind of catch up our fans and our audience out there what you've been up to?
Well, I've been doing a lot of the music touring that we traditionally do, where I play my dad's music, but I've been making some of my own music. I've been working on some more orchestral music, which last year, around this time, we premiered some of it in Holland with a 100-piece orchestra, so I have some other stuff that I'm working on for 2019 and some other new music of my own, putting out some live albums and some new music that I'm currently writing.
So the orchestra, the 100-man orchestra, that's a little bit different than kind of what you usually do. What made you want to get more into that?
I've always been interested in it, but I didn't really ever see it as being something that I was going to do. But an orchestra in Holland approached me about doing some music specifically for the orchestra. So I said, well, I guess now's the perfect time.
The opportunity presented itself, yeah. So this is the last day on the Choice Cuts tour. What has been your most memorable event, most memorable memory, I guess, of this tour?
Well, this tour has been special just because it's my favorite version of the band. The people that are in the band are all the best musicians that I've been able to put together since I started this 13 years ago.
Wow.
And so we have a lot of fun, and the songs are challenging in their own ways, but because the band plays so well together, there's everything's like a musical conversation. We can kind of read each other's minds a bit in terms of where things are going to go when the improv stuff happens. So it's just been really fun on a musical level for that reason.
And it seems like that would make it a lot more intimate for your fans and your audience too, when you guys have that connection together.
I think it's definitely more of an appealing musical experience when it seems like the musicians are all listening to each other and able to communicate. So it does translate to the audience and make it more interesting and memorable, I think.
That's really amazing. And so you've created a lot of music and produced a lot of music over your career. What has been your most maybe impactful or memorable piece you ever created?
Well, I'm still working on a piece that probably would fit that description. I started something back in the early 90s that's called What the Hell Was I Thinking? And it's
love it already.
It's a continuous piece of music that's best described as an audio movie, and it changes scenes every few seconds, really, and it's changing different styles and different environments. So, and it has a bunch of different guitar players on it. There's about 40 different well-known guitar players on it, and I'm still adding to it. But I haven't finished that thing yet. I've been working on it since the 90s. So I think that one will probably end up reaching the top slot, when it's all finished. But I do have a DVD that's going to come out soon that has that I edited, and we did all the surround sound mixing, and that really is a special presentation. I mean, that's probably one of the best versions of surround sound that I've ever heard. It really, my dad's music really lends itself to that.
Our audio editor is going to really love that you said that. Ryan, I know you're going to like that. So when you're on tour, you always, you're playing music, but you also have these master classes that you do, and I know you do them in select cities. So what can the people that go to those really expect to learn?
Well, I have a music camp that's called Dweezil, and so when I do a guitar camp kind of lesson on the road, it's like these are the Dweezil guitar classes, and really what I do is I try to give a lot of advice on the fast track to learning the guitar neck, and there's a few things that I do that sort of compartmentalize some of the complicated things and make it easier, just because when something's really hard, like a long phrase, if you break it down into smaller chunks, it's much easier to learn how to master each separate thing. But then if you start really approaching everything on the guitar that way, it really helps you see things and connect things and have a strategy. So I have a simple way that I set it up, and it usually is something that people can take what they already know and double or triple or quadruple what they already know overnight, because there's some simple things that they can do to just restructure how they play.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. I like that approach of breaking it down, keeping it simple. Just because it can be overwhelming when you're trying to learn something new and you just go at it like.
Well, for sure. On the guitar, though, there's one really simple secret, which is, it has 6 strings, and if you think of it as 3 sets of 2, the top 2, middle 2, and bottom 2, anything you can do on one set of strings, you can do on the other sets. So
Makes
now
sense.
Suddenly, it's way less to think about, because there's only really about 5 shapes that your fingers naturally have to go in to make particular scales. So when you really break it down into the smallest things, you go, oh, I only have these 5 things, and I can do it on all these sets of strings, and now suddenly they all, it becomes visually apparent that way, and it's usually an eye-opener for people.
That's amazing. And so you are doing a masterclass here in Portland. What's your favorite thing about coming to Portland, or your favorite thing to do when you do come here?
Well, I honestly don't get out much when we're here, but a few times I know the band and crew have gone over to Voodoo Donuts, and one time they got I guess they offer something called a bucket of donuts.
Bucket of donuts. I haven't had that one.
It looks like a bucket of chum, So they came back with these buckets that were filled with donuts, and it just looked revolting. But
were they good?
They don't seem that good when they're all stuffed into a bucket, But it's memorable.
It's memorable. That's true. That's true. So when you're touring, what's kind of the one gadget you need to have when you're touring?
I need my equipment to work. That's it.
Just your
guitars, all that stuff. I don't really, need creature comfort type of stuff. Like, I'm not really a super gadget guy. I mean, I am when it comes to gear, to make specific sounds, but other than that.
Over the years, has technology really influenced the way you look at equipment? Like, how's that affected that?
Well, as far as guitar equipment goes, it's been simplified yet complicated at the same time. Because it used to be that if you wanted to, my dad actually always had a very complicated system. He used 3 amps and 2 DIs, and he was splitting his signal, and he was running it to all these different things, and it was like mountains of gear on stage. And if you wanted to do what he was doing, you had to have mountains of gear on stage. And for a while, that was the only way you could do it. But then it started to change a little bit, and there's digital ways to do some of the analog stuff, and that helped. So I'm able to do a lot of the sophisticated things with less equipment, but it still takes time to learn how to use it and program it and all that stuff.
Yeah, because, I mean, you're still accomplishing the same thing, but it's a different way of getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you're not too much into gadgets, but you do have a smartphone, I assume?
Yes.
Are you an Apple or an Android guy?
Well, I happen to have an Apple phone at the moment, but I really don't like the Apple products very much.
Why?
I particularly don't like that you have to have all of the weird little connector things.
The dongles?
Yeah,
everyone hits the dongle.
It's just the worst.
Well, it's a terrible name for that. What that is, dude. It's like dongle. It's like, that doesn't sound good at all.
I just don't really care for that.
So again, 2018 is coming to an end. We're in the holidays. What's your favorite holiday song?
I don't think I have one.
Oh,
I don't really listen to a lot of holiday music.
Okay, so kind of on the holiday theme, what's the best gift you've ever received during the holidays?
I don't care about like material things too much, so it's just always like heartfelt things from my wife or kids,
Hey, it's the thought that counts. It doesn't have to be material. It's how it makes you feel, which is awesome. So you have like a really cool job. You're a rock star. How would your friends describe what you do? Because it's different than the way like you would probably describe it.
I would think that they just think that what I do is more complicated than they would like for themselves. So they're like, better you than me.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So you're teaching these master classes, and you're an accomplished guitarist. What advice can you give to young musicians?
Well, the biggest challenge is always finding the reason that you do what you do and staying true to that, and in that finding your own voice, you know. So as a guitar player, there's a handful of guitar players that the world knows just by hearing a couple of notes. And when you think about how many billions of people play guitar, and then there's only a handful of people that
are recognizable
after just a couple of notes, you know, that's a big goal to try to reach. And when you're a young player, you're always emulating people, which is a great way to learn and everything, but sometimes it takes a while for you to find your own voice. And
for sure.
That's the case with a lot of people, but that's the process. And so I would say, you know, really try to focus on trying to find that, you know, the thing that keeps you inspired and makes you want to do it. That's the thing that's probably going to draw the people to want to listen to what you're doing.
Yep, no, that totally makes sense. So where can people follow your career some more and follow your music?
Just on my website, dweezilzappa.com, pretty simple. And I mean, you know, they can check things out on Instagram and whatever. That's about the only social media thing that I do with any regularity. You know, I can't stand Facebook and you know, all this other stuff. I mean, I have.
You're not alone.
Yeah, I have that stuff, but I just don't. I'm never on there.
Hey, no, that makes sense.
Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. Really appreciate it. You know, thank you so much. And back to you, Greg.
All right. Thank you, Riley and Dweezil Zappa, something I never thought I would say in my life. That's so awesome. Dweezil Zappa on the show right here, Digital Trends Live, broadcasting live to you every day, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and that's what we do here. Every day is a different show. We've got your tech headlines we always start off with, kind of bringing you up to date with that, and today we talked about how the Senate Intelligence Committee is going to release apparently 2 more documents or 2 more reports about how extensive all that social media tampering was with the Russians a couple years ago. You're going to find out more about that today. So just follow Digital Trends. We'll keep you up to date on that. We had Adrian Warner in here to join us for that opening segment. Then we went to Miles Brandman to talk about the new Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. You can read that full review at Digital Trends as well. A reminder, you can still enter to win the Body Glove stand-up paddleboard, the inflatable paddleboard at digitaltrends.com/giveaways. And a huge thank you to Dweezil Zappa for hopping on the show today. Tomorrow, whole other lineup of all kinds of interesting things. This rest of this week, we've got some great interviews. I think we've got a cooking segment at some point this week. Every day, a new variety. We love having you here broadcasting or watching us broadcast live to you every day. So hop on in there, hit subscribe wherever you're finding us. Make sure you tune in, and we're always available afterward to watch on demand as well. So that's it for this Monday. Everybody, let's start off the week right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with more Digital Trends Live.